to Conversations and Cocktails. Today our guest is Linda DeSantis. She is a healing artist. She practices out of the Northwest area, Seattle and Tacoma. She's also an author of a children's book that she wrote and illustrated. I'm very excited to have her join us today. If you would like to follow me and meet other women, click the button. I'm not sure where it's at, but you do, so click and follow me. Hi, and welcome to Conversations and Cocktails. Tonight, my guest is Linda DeSantis, and Linda has chosen a old-fashioned, and the recipe is by Bill Hex. So I'm excited to try this. I don't drink browns normally, but
Delicious.
is it delicious? Good, let's do it. Cheers. We're at Cafe Racer here upstairs in the Obama room.
Cheers.
Cheers to Bill Hex's Old Fashioned. Bill Hex, thank you, whoever you are.
Delicious. Thank you for the cocktail.
It's delicious, yes. So I have known you for, what did we figure out? 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
So this is fun. I met Linda and her partner at Critical Northwest, which is a Burning Man for Washington State. And Burning Man, the critical thing that year, was at Lark, which is a nudist colony. So that was
we were
fun.
fully clothed.
We were clothed,
Yeah.
but there were people on little little carts, naked, with their little dogs next to them. The dogs had more clothes on than they did, so that was fun. Yeah, and that was about 4 years ago, right?
It was 4 years ago. You
And
camped
then-
right next to us.
We camped next to
Right
you.
next to
yeah,
you. Yep.
there you go.
Yep.
And then 2 years ago exactly.
Yes,
this
this
month. Yes, yes.
Yep.
Well, happy anniversary.
Oh my
Another
gosh,
drink.
Another drink to
Another
that.
drink. Happy anniversary to us. Oh,
To Peru, yeah.
but the anniversary of what, you may be asking? The anniversary of Peru. So my family went to Peru and traveled for 7 months, and Linda went to Peru and did a ceremony, which makes sense because she's a healer, in Peru, and we were in Lima at the same time. So we got to go down to a fancy little restaurant.
What was the name of that
I don't know,
restaurant?
down
that
on
was
the water.
so good, though.
Yeah,
Oh, that was
yeah.
the best meal I had in Peru, I
Was
think.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, I was there 7 months, so I did have better
You
meals.
had some good meals, yeah.
So what we're going to talk about today is your embodiment of a healer. And what I guess I'm curious about is, so 2 years ago when we were in Peru, well, let's say before 2 years ago, because we can go even further back, I played a trick on my husband and told him that we were having a tarot reading.
I remember that.
Yeah, and we were
yeah.
really having a couples massage,
Yeah.
and you were the massage therapist.
Yes.
So in the healing arts world, what I knew you to be was an artist,
Yeah.
because you are an artist, and has written a book and illustrated all of it. But you were a massage therapist then.
Yeah.
And were you doing any other healing arts at that time?
I was actually several years ago, like 2004, I became attuned to Reiki attunement. And then I opened up a yoga studio in about 2006. And I was a yoga teacher. I went through yoga teacher training, and I had this yoga studio in Kent called Heartbeat Yoga and Healing Arts. And we held healing circles, and I did energy work there. We had massage therapists and yoga classes and Tai Chi and craniosacral therapy and all kinds of wonderful stuff. So that was several years back. So I've been working with the energy work, and that was my first modality, and then went into yoga.
Okay.
And then after that, I stuck with that for a while, and then a few years back, I went ahead and got my massage therapy license and learned Thai massage, which I absolutely love.
Nice.
And then hypnotherapy. So now I'm doing a lot of hypnotherapy and past life regression, which I think is just an amazing tool for people to get over trauma, stuck emotional baggage. And that's fun for the person. And some people do it just for fun, other people do it to heal.
Right.
So
past life regression is part of hypnotherapy.
it is, yes. So you bring people back into this relaxed trance state, and then you can go back into past lives.
Oh,
sometimes
wow.
several, sometimes maybe they just go into one. But like for instance, you might I had a gentleman come to me. He was afraid of heights, And he wanted to figure out what his phobia was, where it came from, because he had no rationale in this lifetime to ever be afraid of heights. So we took him back to a time when he was a Chinese woman back in the 11th century, or like in 1100 something. I can't remember the exact date. But he had fallen off a cliff being chased by his husband who had just murdered his children, her children, in this life. So it was really traumatic, but he realized, oh my God, this is exactly, and he, from that moment on, he relived that, and now he's not afraid of heights any longer.
That's
So
crazy.
it's just this crazy way to heal. It's another way of healing,
Yeah.
is to go through in to different times and places and emotional baggage that we carried throughout
What is
this
that?
time.
Is it called Dharma, karma? What is
Dharma, karma, yeah, that
It's
would
karma,
be one
so
way
what
of
you
reliving.
bring.
Yeah, what you bring, what your muscle memory holds, and what you bring into this carnation.
It's carnation.
Incarnation.
Incarnation.
Because carnation's a flower, right?
And a city.
And a
out
city.
by
Oh,
Duval.
that's right. Exactly.
So when did you, in your life cycle, when did you realize that you wanted to be in the healing arts? So I know also that you're not just a healing person, but
Right.
an artist.
Artist, painter,
Yeah,
graphic
painter.
designer,
Yes.
the creator of books and children's book. I wrote a children's book, One and Only Earth. It's an environmental healing or environmental counting book for little kids.
I have it for my granddaughter.
Yes. And it's one of my passions, one of the things I had to do in my life. So I did that. So the artist in me, I've been doing that for many, many years. But the healing artist in me came out when I was, oh gosh, my grandmother, she was way ahead of her time. This was probably in the 60s. She would teach us yoga. She got us on the Ouija board, even though it was kind of scary, but the thing would fly and would spell out things, and I wasn't touching it, she wasn't touching it, it was just kind of moving across the board. She could read your aura, and she kind of talked to spirits, and so I think it kind of affected me a lot, and I always knew that part of me, so I waited until I was in probably my late 30s or so, or even earlier. I knew that there was something there because I was very much, I did, some psychedelic drugs and kind of looking at the world in a different way and seeing things that, like, wow, this makes way more sense in reality in some parts of it. And so it pushed me into that other realm, which has a lot to do with healing. It has a lot to do with the esoteric world, what we don't see, what we feel in our hearts and feel in our minds and our touch and our energy.
Is that the other
level.
realm which you speak of?
Yes.
So when you say other realm, can you help me understand, what do you mean by other realm? Can you describe that for me?
Yeah. I believe there's several dimensions, and we're in one dimension, the third dimension, and then there's others that we cannot see or feel unless you're very highly in tune to it, and it's all around us. And some people can actually see and feel the other dimensions, and I've been able to hear things, not see anything. Well, I can see color once in a while, I can see energy, but it's not something that I can do on demand. It's something that all of a sudden it's like, oh, what was that? Or, oh, I heard something, and then it'll make sense. But the other realm would be the unseeable, the other reality that we know is there, but it's not this current reality that we're living in with the material world.
The material world.
Yeah.
Okay, so something other than the material world.
Yeah.
A different world.
A different world.
A different world.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, how did you grow, once you decided from a childhood with your grandmother that the healing world, the healing arts, the other realm was of interest to you? What are the different things that you did? It sounds like you opened a yoga studio.
Yes.
And you took some classes. What are some other things that you did to develop your skill as a healer?
Well, a lot of meditating.
Okay.
Rituals, a lot of ancestor work, working with ancestral beings, asking for guidance from guides, spirit guides, simply pulling tarot cards or animal spirit cards, or just fine-tuning your thoughts about maybe seeing something that you realize, I was just thinking that thought yesterday, and all of a sudden here it is. So you kind of manifest these things in your life, and it's kind of made sense. So to fine-tune it was probably me working on myself, trying to fine-tune those fine points of being able to tap into that.
Now, if somebody wanted to be a healer, what would be the first thing that you would recommend to them?
I think everybody has the ability. That's the first thing I want to say, is that I was attuned into Reiki, and I can give attunements to Reiki, but I don't, because I feel like, because that people want a lot of money to have a Reiki attunement, and I don't want to charge people to give them something they already have. So everyone has the ability to feel and see energy if they work on it. So your question was, what would you suggest that they do? Mm-hmm. I would suggest they'd have to have the passion in their heart first, mm-hmm. and then find a way to make space and hold space for themselves, so they could go and maybe seek guidance, meditate, and just kind of feel what that would feel like for them, and develop those skills. And to be a healer, I think that I think you have to feel the passion first. Mm-hmm. I think you have to want it. And of course, there's a lot of, to work, in the body, to do body work, you have to have a certain amount of anatomy knowledge as well.
So massage therapy,
right?
helps.
Which was exactly.
Right.
So
Right.
Because our muscles do hold a lot of, tension that you can actually work and then pull that energy out of the body. Once you get the muscle loosened and you kind of get the energy kind of moving, then you can then energetically release any tension or anything in the body. And that goes for disease too. I know people have cured incurable diseases with using this. I wouldn't recommend it to people who have a very, very incurable terminal illness. They might want to seek both Western and Eastern medicine, something like that.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm wondering, as you've gone through to become where you're at today and the healer that you are today, what has been your struggles? Like, what are some of your hardships or things that you've come up against in your journey as a healer?
I think it's hard to, I have struggled with myself about the woo-woo aspect of all of it. Like, I don't know what to call myself. So my business is called Transcend Healing Arts, because I do a number of things. But to call myself, like, I've known people to say, oh, I'm a medicine woman, or I'm a medium, or I'm a psychic, and blah, blah. And I just can't put those labels on myself. It's just hard for me to put that out there, because I feel like people aren't ready for it. It's got a lot of feelings around it, where people would either not believe you or say, oh, another one, here's another one. So I think that's my biggest challenge, is trying to define that in words, what I do.
Have you come up against, so there's certain religious communities and such that might question your authenticity or what you're doing? Are you a witch? Are you you're full of baloney or whatever, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And so have you ever come up against that? And if so, like, what have you done? Or does that just live inside your own mind, and so you go up against our modern culture in your own mind versus it actually happening in the real world?
I think it's more in my own mind, and it's true. I think the word witch sums it up in a good way. I mean, it's the use of herbs, it's the use of natural medicines and healing techniques that we used to get burnt at the stake for years back. And so pretty much, it sums it up, the word witch. But I can't use that, because in my own mind, people, of course, it wouldn't work in the society. It would not be a word you'd want to use.
Right. So
Yeah.
instead of healer or wise woman,
Right.
you would be like
that's why I don't title myself, and that's why I just go under Transcend Healing Arts, and I list what I do. So that kind of clears me of giving myself a title, I guess. I don't know.
So that is not giving yourself a title is kind
Right.
of something that you deal with
Yeah,
on a regular
yeah.
basis.
Which I would love to give myself a title, but I just don't know what title I'd give myself.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
understand. Like,
yeah.
if you don't name it,
Right.
how can it be so?
Exactly.
So until you name it, it isn't.
And I struggle with that a lot.
I
I've
can
had
imagine.
friends who go out and say, well, they're just gonna, I'm a medium, I'm a psychic, and they give themselves that name, and they go out on social media, and I'm like going, I just can't do that. I don't know. Yeah. So that's my biggest struggle, I would think, in the realm of this.
Being
Yeah.
a healer.
Yes.
And then I'm
uh-huh.
curious about your graphic design
Yeah.
and your art.
Mhm.
So did you said that was something you had to do. Like you just had to do it.
Well, my father was an artist.
Right.
And I had to prove to him, because we didn't always have the best relationships, I felt like I had to prove to him that I could do art too. He was a sign painter, he was an illustrator, and so I thought, okay, we butted heads, and so he's been long gone, but I'm sure he's looking down and saying, oh, I'm proud of you, what you've done, because I've actually done a lot of things that are out in the world. Like if you go into many stores, you'll find my package design or illustrations and things that I've done commercially are out there. So I got into mainly because of my father, and I enjoy doing art. I have the talent to do it. I love to paint. I do a lot of computer work. I've taught computer graphics at Seattle Central. I worked as a professor there for like 6 years, teaching the computer design programs, and that was really rewarding. I loved that. Right now I'm working as a designer in a cannabis shop to design packages for different types of cannabis product, which is a lot of fun. But I'm really wanting to push that on the back burner and do the healing arts, because I've been doing the design work for many, many years, and I feel like I've kind of run the cycle with it, and it's like I need to move on to something that really feels more helpful to people and not sales driven, because I've been working in the sales world where all the work I do is to sell a product, and that's not fulfilling to me anymore.
So helping people, speaking of helping people, yes,
yeah.
the healing arts definitely, and combining your art and knowledge and healing and helping is your children's book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
love the children's
thank
book.
you.
It's
Yeah,
got,
yeah.
The planet and how to help the planet and teach my granddaughter how to count.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, and it's about one Earth, and so number 1 is the Earth. We only have one Earth, and then number 2 through 19 are just different animals, like 2 orcas, 3 zebras, 4 elephants, 5 alligators, and all the way on up until you hit number 20. And so it goes from 1 to 20, one Earth, and then 20 are 20 tender human hands, tending to the Earth, friends to all the creatures there, and knowing the great worth of our one and only Earth. So it's teaching the kids how to count from 1 to 20, and as well as teaching them that we just have one planet, and you have to take care of it. If you don't, then we have no place to live as humans. So I think that's super important to me. The environment is hugely important to me. If I wasn't doing all this work, I would join the Sea Shepherd, I would get out there, and I would do all kinds of other type of things. And
Yes, because you were out there on the front lines.
At Standing Rock, yeah,
Right.
yeah, saving the water protector, being there with the water protectors. It's important. Now is the time. We don't have another chance. If we don't start doing something now, the planet will, we're on a tipping point. We're on a tipping point.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people believe that, and it's so hard to, I don't know, I just don't have the words. It's like, what do we do when society goes against it every step of the way? And we're just these little environmentalists down there just saying, come on, we gotta fix this. And then, and then we got the big corporate mongers up there saying, no, we're not gonna, so.
One Earth.
One Earth.
One Earth.
Yeah, we just got one Earth, so, yeah.
And then, so the question that I ask all of my guests is, as a female, and with your personal cultural background, how has that helped you or hurt you? And I hear that your father, your cultural background,
Yeah.
your father drove you to be an artist. So,
Right.
And your grandmother,
Uh-huh.
helped you learn healing. And so
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about being a female in your field of either of the arts,
Uh-huh.
and how being a female and whatever your cultural background you come from has helped or hurt.
Okay. Well, I'll start with the graphic art and the fine art type of work that I do. Working corporately, I think it's up until just recently, it's been a man's field. Women have had to struggle a lot to get ahead, and I've seen that a little bit in the art world, but not as much as probably in others. And my background, having my father be this artist, he was like an art director and head of his department. But back then, in those days, I don't think a woman could have, even though she would have been qualified to do that. I've struggled with having a lot of male bosses that have been, it's like I could do exactly what they have done. But my background kind of hindered me in a way, because my father, being a male, being the boss in his department, showed me that, yes, the boss is a male in the art field. But with my healing arts, it's different, because my grandmother, she was just out there, wild, and just putting it out there in the world back in the day when, no one was doing it. And she was out there doing it. And being a woman, she just did it. And didn't matter. She wasn't matter, a woman. And this was in upstate New York. That's where I grew up. And so there's a lot of influence from the big city and then the Adirondacks. So we have a little blend of all kinds of city-country type of things. So, yeah.
Nice.
I hope that answers your question.
I think,
Okay,
I think
in
it
a
does. I
roundabout
feel like,
way, yeah.
you talk about healing arts and that being more open as a female, and then the
Yeah.
corporate side as an artist.
More of a
and
male, yeah. I
Yeah.
think women are more apt to be, we're more nurturers, although I know some wonderful male healing artists. I think that women tend to gravitate toward that more because we are nurturers by nature, so,
Nice.
yeah.
So now, this is my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
How can people what are you doing now?
Okay.
Like, how can people find you? What do you want to share about yourself that's happening right now?
Right now.
Like maybe Facebook or
Ooh,
and
okay.
I would really love it if you would tell people how they can find your book, your children's book,
Yeah,
just
yes.
because I love it so much. And I love great massage therapist,
Right,
all the things.
all the things,
Yep,
right.
yep. So,
Well, I have a Facebook page for the book,
Okay.
One and Only Earth. I believe it's probably the only One and Only Earth on Facebook. I'm not sure. One and Only Earth, an environmental counting book. So if you look that up on Facebook, you will find information on how to maybe get a hold of me and order a book. My healing arts, I have Transcend Healing Arts, transcendhealingarts.com, and that will have all my modalities and what I do and how to get a hold of me.
can you spell that?
Yes, TRANZEND, healingarts.com. Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have anything else? Do you have anything coming up? Like any classes or
yes.
any?
We have a collaborative women's painting. It's wonderful. A friend of mine is putting on. We were going to be possibly showing it at the Tacoma Art Museum, and it's a group of women, about 25 of us, and we're painting women in our lives that have been like our inspiration. I chose Rachel Carson because she wrote Silent Spring. She was like one of the first environmentalists, and she got that whole movement going. Like, no DDT, we're not going to spray the chemicals on these plants, and of course we still did. But she got awareness going, and that was in the 50s. So I'm doing a piece on Rachel Carson. So we're going to have an art show at the Tacoma Art Museum, and it's going to be next year sometime. I'm not sure of the date, but it's called the Women's Collaborative Art Movement, and we're going to try to get it to go around the country and pick up 25 more women wherever it goes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so by the time we get that, I think we're going to cap it at like 200.
Whoa,
But yeah, so
that'd be
that's kind of
awesome.
what we have going on right now. My friend Amanda is kind of spearheading the whole thing. I'm just one of the first artists doing it. But anyways, yeah, that's what I'm working on right now.
Yay! Yay! Okay, so you can find Linda at the different places she told you. I love you.
Thank you. Love
so
you
much
too.
for joining me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah,
And the
thank
drink
you.
is okay, even
It's
though
not
it's got
bad.
brown alcohol in it.
Really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.